Welcome to Jiva Yoga Live. I'm Hillary. I'm going to show you some instruction about poses you can do to relieve pain from your stiff neck and shoulders. Thanks for joining us here at Jiva Yoga Live. Be sure to subscribe and click that notification bell so you can get alerts about future videos. Namaste. Let's look at some neck and shoulder relief exercises. Let's start in a really classic one. Let's come into tabletop and take some cat-cow. You're probably really familiar with this one, but it's always good to review a classic posture and make sure that we're getting the most we can out of each of the asanas. So coming to cat and cow, we want to check and make sure that our wrists are below the shoulders and that our hips are above the knees. And before we begin, we can just check in, finding a nice neutral spine, making sure that we're pressing away from the earth with the palms spread wide. We're really pressing into all of the fingertips, and those backs of the feet can be tucked for more support, or you can have your feet with the tops of the feet flush against the mat. We're gonna inhale for cat, for cow, moo. Exhale, press away from the earth when you're exhaling. The more that you're pressing into the earth, the wider you can get those shoulder blades apart. And as you inhale back for cow, continue to lift away from the earth, to lift out of the armpits, and really let the chest open. Maybe play around with it and find that distinction between where your strength is and how deep your stretch is. Connecting the breath with the movement is going to help you get the most out of each of these postures. Oxygen circulates the blood, circulates the heat in the body, helps you get even more relief from pain, even more mobility in the joints and in the muscles. So cat-cow is always a classic warm-up. It's always something you can do to start your day, to end your day. Or if you want to be that person, maybe you can take this at your desk when you're at work. So cat-cow, always a great posture for any practice, always great to warm up the body before we're getting deep into stretching. And this one really helps you activate those shoulder muscles, tighten the core muscles, and open up the chest and neck, getting you ready for any flow. To come into cow face pose, we want to cross our one leg over the other, bringing the knees, trying to bring the knees into alignment with the sternum, making sure that both of the hips are flush against the floor. And then we'll bring one arm overhead and the other arm behind the back, bend at the elbows, and really lift through the chest. As I'm lifting through the chest, my top elbow is reaching in the opposite direction of my lower elbow. The energies are extending in opposite directions, and I'm pressing into the upper back between the shoulder blades to really help me lift the chest. Breathing here, my tailbone extends in the opposite direction of the crown of my head. And I'm really getting a nice stretch in the back of my arm, the back of my top arm, and through the shoulders, through the chest. My navel is tucked into my spine. It helps me lift. When I come into the opposite side, I simply switch the legs. Cow face pose is a great pose because it's giving you double duty. It's working the lower body with the upper body, getting a lot of juice out of this posture, making sure that I'm really breathing deeply to connect my breath with the movement, send oxygen through the muscles. And I can lift my gaze to get a little back bend here, really help stretch the outside of the shoulders. The more that I lift my chest, the more I can get from this stretch. making sure that my hips are not coming off of the ground. There's a lot of places where we can put our attention in this posture. We can put it in the hips, we can put it in the chest and the shoulders. Allowing the breath to connect us to the body. And to release it, shake it out a bit, and really feel the openness where you've just released some tension, maybe released a little pain, maybe roll the shoulders after coming out of this posture, keeping that blood nice and flowing. Reverse prayer is another really great pose, just like cat and cow, that helps you explore what this posture can be for you. So to come into a modified version of reverse prayer, we just bring the hands behind the body and grab opposite elbows with opposite arms with opposite hands. We can roll the shoulders up and down the body. Lift the chest, lift the gaze, and really breathe deeply into the chest and the backs of the shoulders. If you want to get deeper into this posture, you simply take the palms behind the body, press the palms into each other, raise them up the top of the spine in between the shoulder blades, and really with the pinkies, you can press against the spine as you're pressing the hands into each other. This helps you lift the chest, keep that awareness that we're lifting and opening the chest, and with the elbows, you want to extend them away from the body and then backwards towards each other, energetically pulling those elbows towards each other. Breathing deeply into this posture. This is such a great pose because you can take it any time of the day, anywhere that you are, whether you're sitting at the office chair, whether you're riding shotgun in the car. And then you can explore some movements in the neck to really get a little double duty stretch and relief here. Just like in cat and cow, we really want to make this posture, this movement, our own. Find what's giving you the most relief. You can take a baby back bend here. Take some deep breaths into the shoulders, into the neck, and into the front of the throat. Holding it for a few good breaths, and then when you're finished, shaking it out, maybe loosening up those wrists, feeling a lot more open in the chest and in the neck. Thread the needle pose is great for opening the shoulders. To start, we're going to come into a tabletop position, checking in with our alignment, and we open the right arm to the sky. Go ahead and reach through the shoulders, away from the armpits, extend out of that supporting arm, and as we cross the arm underneath the body, reach as far as we can till we bring the shoulder to the ground, and we can extend this supporting arm out in front of the body, making sure that we're keeping the hips in alignment, not going off to the sides. We really want to have the hips over the knees. We're still tucking the navel into the spine, and we're getting a really nice deep stretch in the back of that left shoulder and in the side of the right shoulder. Breathe deeply into this posture. Feel the stretch even in the top of the spine and the base of the neck. This is a really great stretch to hold if you want to stay here for about 8 to 10 breaths. And when you're coming out of the posture, using that arm to support yourself, lifting out. And then afterwards, you can always follow this stretch with child's pose. Really good restorative posture after thread the needle. Make sure that you're taking it on both sides of the body. Rabbit pose is one of my personal favorites for stretching the arms, for the neck, for the chest, for the back of the spine. It's one of this all full body, actually inversion poses that we can do. So to do rabbit, we want to bring ourselves into a kneeling position. My toes are tucked underneath my feet. I'm going to reach back and grab my heels with my hands, and I'll bring the top of my head to the mat, lifting my hips towards the sky. I have my navel tucked into the spine, and I'm really pulling
pulling my feet with the hands, feeling a nice deep stretch in the sides of the shoulders. The closer I bring my head to my knees, I feel an even deeper stretch in the top of the body and across the front of the chest. When you're in rabbit pose, you want to stay here for several deep breaths and really keep everything engaged. This is a really deep stretch. Really can get a lot out of this posture. It's not just great for the spine, for the neck and the shoulders. It has a lot of the benefits of an inversion pose. We're getting the heart over the head, allowing the blood to flow in an opposite direction. And when you're coming out of rabbit, just sink the hips back down to the heels and use your arms to press yourself up. Rabbit's a great pose to take at the end of the practice. Once your body's really nice and warmed up, you can get the most out of that stretch and get yourself feeling really loose and limber. The last pose we're going to talk about is fish pose. It's one of my favorite for opening my chest, my shoulders, my neck, and my throat. I like to take it before Shavasana, but it's also a really great complementary pose to doing any forward folds. Helps counter that posture. So to come into our fish pose, we want to make sure that we are extending the legs out in front of the body, the ankles are together, and the toes are pointed. And to come down, we can just bring the forearms to the mat, maybe slide the hands under the butt, bring the elbows together, and go ahead and press into the forearms, into the elbows and palms to lift the chest. We're trying to bring the crown of the head towards the top of the mat, and when we're able to get the neck extended, we want to really breathe into the base of the neck, breathe into the throat, and make sure that we're putting our weight in our arms and we're not allowing the weight to fall on the top of the head, compressing the neck. So the posture in its full expression is going to look like this. And you're going to want to hold that for a few breaths, and as I'm in the full expression of the posture, I'm even paying attention to my toes, to my legs, that my toes are pointed and my legs are engaged, because this allows the whole body to experience the stretch, get all the benefits of the stretch, helps open up the flexors and the abs, and this helps us open the chest even more. So fish pose, you're going to want to keep a few breaths here. Definitely take at least 5. Remember, breathe into the spaces that it feels tight. Send that oxygen there to help it open a little more. Find some more flexibility and release some of that pain that you're feeling in the neck and the shoulders. You can use all of these postures together as a flow if you want. I recommend doing them in the order that we talked about them, or you can just experience them on your own, finding ways to fit them into your personal practice. If you're regularly suffering from neck and shoulder pain, I recommend choosing 1 or 2 of these to do every single day with consistency, and notice after a few days how much benefit you're getting from the practice and how much relief you're getting from your pain. Thanks for joining us here at Jiva Yoga Live. Be sure to subscribe and click that notification bell so you can get alerts about future videos. Namaste.